Hey everyone, Lewis aka Spider-Man 1991 here with another top 5 list. This was requested by amayer93 who wanted me to do top 5 DC villains and also my top 5 Marvel villains. Right now you're watching the DC, next week will be Marvel. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started with number 5, Darkseid. Darkseid is pretty much the ruler of Apocalypse. His main objective is to get the anti-life equation so he can rule the universe and eradicate all free will and make everyone conform to worship Darkseid. And he was created by Jack Kirby as part of his Fourth World comics, and he's got a really cool design that definitely does represent how great of an artist Jack Kirby was. Now, the reason he's number 5 on my list, and don't get me wrong, Darkseid is a cool villain. He's got the Omega Beams, which can pretty much either disintegrate his opponents or send them back through time. But the reason he's at number 5 for me is because he hasn't really been... I feel like he hasn't really been utilized often. He's only used whenever DC needs a really big bad guy for their next crisis or whatever, and whenever they need a really big bad guy, they always go to Darkseid. However, the reason why Darkseid is on my top 5 list in general is because of his interpretation on Superman the Animated Series. Now, on Superman the Animated Series, you can really boil down the two major big bads of the series to Lex Luthor and Darkseid. That was actually how I first discovered Darkseid, and it was a pretty cool series that did show a good interpretation of the character. Then a few years later, he appeared on Smallville, which was less than average. And now we're getting Darkseid teased as being the main antagonist in the Justice League movie, and I really hope they do Darkseid way more justice than they did with their version of Lex Luthor. Number 4, Sinestro, the ex-Green Lantern who now runs his own Lantern Corps by utilizing the yellow light of fear. Sinestro was a Green Lantern Corps officer until he decided to use his will, until he decided that the only way he could really protect the law, enforce the law on his planet was by taking over, which he did using his green power ring. Well, when the Guardians got word of this, they kicked him out. And for a while, while he was in the GL Corps, Sinestro was a mentor to Hal Jordan, and Hal was also one of the people that one of the Lanterns that brought him down from power. Eventually, Sinestro was sentenced to Quard, where he had the weaponers of Quard make him a power ring that utilized the yellow light of fear. Then he turned to attack the Guardians and the Green Lanterns with a vengeance, utilizing the yellow ring. Eventually, though, Sinestro decided to build his own Corps with power rings using the yellow light of fear. I like Sinestro a lot. He is one of the reasons why I think Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run is possibly my favorite Green Lantern run of all time. Mainly because they've interpreted the character, instead of just being a whole, oh, I was kicked out of the Guardians, now I want revenge, to having real depth. And to be quite honest, Sinestro, I think, isn't really a true villain anymore. I think of him more as like a morally gray anti-hero in a way. Because even though Sinestro does believe that intimidation is the best way to maintain order, he still wants to maintain order nonetheless. But there are times where his really dark methods will eventually come to fold, and he will need to be taken in restraint, which is usually when Hal Jordan gets involved. Number 3, the ReverseFlash, Eobard Thawne. Eobard Thawne is a man of the future, and he was Barry Allen's greatest fan. When he tried to replicate the experiment that gave Barry Allen his powers and tried to be the next Flash, did not end well, and because of that, he has a lifelong hatred for Barry Allen. Now, because he's from the future, he figured once he learned how to time travel, he decided to go back in time and initially kill Barry before he became the Flash, but that would cause a paradox. So since Eobard couldn't actually kill Barry, he decided to do the next worst thing: ruin Barry's life by killing his loved ones. And pre-crisis, he really accomplished this by killing Iris West, his wife. And this was at a time where comic book deaths were extremely rare, and it wasn't the revolving door of resurrection that we have now. Iris remained dead for a while until they brought her back towards the end of the first Flash series, right before Crisis. Eventually, though, when they decided to reintroduced Barry Allen to the post-crisis universe. They also brought back Eobard Thawne in the Flash Rebirth series, where we find out that Eobard actually went back in time and killed Barry Allen's mom right when he was a boy, and framed Barry's dad for murder, causing him to be arrested to live out the rest of his life in prison. Now, I think the reason why I have ReverseFlash, I think I remember doing this list a couple of years ago when I did make this list. I think I had Sinestro and ReverseFlash switched in different places, but I think ReverseFlash is higher on my list now because of his role on the Flash TV series and Legends of Tomorrow. In this case, ReverseFlash, he was pretty much the big bad of season 1 on the Flash, and he even went back, and when he was stuck in the past after killing Barry's mom, he decided to remain there and influence events so Barry could become the Flash earlier in life, and he could hopefully siphon some of Barry's speed in order to get back to the future. However, that wasn't the case, and at the end of season 1, we saw his ancestor, Eddie Thawne, kill himself in order to prevent Eobard from ever existing. But because of time travel and all that, Eobard's still kicking in the time stream, which leads us to his current role on Legends of Tomorrow as founding a Legion of Doom with Malcolm Merlyn and Damien Dark and Captain Cold. And their main objective, which if you saw the winter finale, spoiler alert, is to find the Spear of Destiny, which I believe, my theory is that Eobard wants it so that he can actually kill Barry and still keep his speed powers. And so for all those reasons, his undying hatred for Barry Allen, instead of going after Theo directly, going after all his loved ones throughout time, makes him a really deadly foe, and that is why he's on number 3 on my list. Okay, number 2, the Joker. Yep, you can't have a top 5 DC villain list without having the Joker somewhere. Reason Joker is number 2 on my list is because he is a psychotic clown who just kills people for the sake of fun. Honestly, Joker is pure chaos. You don't know what he's going to do. No one really knows what his end game usually is. He'll either stab you, light you on fire, or give you $100. That's what the Joker is. He's also been responsible for a number of tragedies in Batman's life, particularly the death of Jason Todd and the crippling of Barbara Gordon. Now, also we got a big development in terms of the Joker's character at the end of the last Justice League series, at the end of the Darkseid Wars. We got a big development for the Joker's character at the end of the Darkseid Wars story arc on Justice League, when Batman was connected to the Mobius chair and he wanted to know the Joker's real name. For years, no one has ever established a real name for the Joker or a real concrete past. Sure, there was the Killing Joke, but Joker even himself said that if he had a past, he'd like it to be multiple choice. Now, we've never had a concrete origin for the Joker. All we know is that he was some criminal Batman fought at Ace Chemicals who fell into a vat of chemicals, but everything before that, no idea. When Batman finally connects to the Mobius chair, which grants him all the knowledge in the universe, he asks, what is the Joker's real name? And he's shocked when he discovers this and says that's impossible. At the end of the story, when Green Lantern goes to see Batman, he asks him, Bruce, when you asked about the Joker, you were shocked. Why is that? Batman said, I asked what the Joker's real name was. And Batman learns that there are actually 3 Jokers. And that's basically one of the mysteries that we have going into Rebirth. How are there 3 Jokers? What is going on? I cannot wait till they finally dive into that story. But, Joker, he's very psychotic, evil, crazy. For all those reasons, that is why he is number 2 on my list. Now, my number 1 top DC villain is Lex Luthor. Yep, I'm going with Lex Luthor. Why, you might ask? Why Lex Luthor over the Joker, or ReverseFlash, or Sinestro? He doesn't have any powers. Yes, he doesn't have any powers, but he is one of the most deadliest enemies to one of the most powerful heroes in the DC universe, Superman. And Superman's presence is and to be honest, my favorite interpretation of Lex Luthor is the post-crisis version. Pre-crisis, he was just a mad scientist who broke out of prison, robbed banks, yada yada yada. But post-crisis, he was reestablished as a businessman who used his genius to help fund various inventions, got rich, owns a lot of Metropolis, he's a man of power. But then Superman, and it was pretty much one of the most famous men in Metropolis until Superman shows up. After that, and you finally learn what really makes Lex Luthor tick. His ego. Superman is not a threat to... Luthor basically sees Superman as a threat to humanity, believing that if not for Superman, humanity's not going to progress. I have to get rid of him. But the truth is, Superman is just a threat to Lex's ego. Numerous times in the comics, Lex says, oh, I could cure diseases, I could solve world hunger, if not for Superman. But the truth is, Luthor could do all of those things if he just put aside his ego and stopped always trying to make it seem like he has to be better than Superman. If he just did all those things, the world would be better. But he doesn't, because of his ego. Because of his ego, he wants to get rid of Superman because he's a man who can fly, bend steel, and shoot lasers out of his eyes, and he just wants to prove that he is Superman's superior. And because of that, all of the things that Lex Luthor could do to benefit the world are never going to happen. And currently in Action Comics, Lex Luthor is sort of the co-star with the pre-Flashpoint Superman, and also Luthor has pretty much taken up the S shield after the death of the New 52 Superman. And he did and also Forever Evil saw Luthor being also Forever Evil, the story arc from a couple of years ago, saw Lex Luthor being seen in the public light as more of a hero, which led to him joining the Justice League, and why he decided to take on being the new Superman after the New 52 Superman's death. Oh man. So right now the public see some of the public see Luthor as a hero. Can't wait to see how he's going to screw that up. So, that's it for my top 5 DC villains. What did you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with any choices on the list? What were your top 5 DC villains? Let me know in the comments below. Next week, I'll have my Marvel villain list up, so stay tuned. So if you want to know when that comes out, stay subscribed and notified. I'm Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.